academia, you come with a very unique career pathway towards going back to teaching, writing, and research, and what are the unique perspectives that will come with it?
Yeah, so I hope that I can bring my unique perspective so that I can help other public policy makers, whether it's politicians or civil servants, not just in Malaysia but maybe in other countries as well, to understand the mechanics of public policy making from the political perspective, from the policy perspective, from even an international perspective. Because now, in a much more complicated world, domestic policies can sometimes be affected by international pressures to want the country to take certain directions, whether it's on free trade, whether it's on the implementation of 5G. So I've been in the front line as a deputy minister. I've also been a very vocal member of parliament that has spoken out on a lot of different issues. And I'm a person who has also, even in opposition, interacted with a lot of ministers in government, during especially over the last 2 years. So I think I can bring that unique perspective to help others to understand the public policy making process better. So let me just give you an example, and I'm not sure whether you find this interesting, but when I made my announcement on Monday, I found it quite surprising that a number of government ministers and former ministers, that means BN as well as PM, actually sent me messages. One of them, former Umno minister, actually asked me to stay on as a MP because he said that whether it's in government or opposition, we need good people to be part and parcel of the political process and part of the political and public policy making process. And he wasn't alone. There was there were a few current ministers who also reached out to me to ask me why I made this decision. And I think this is part and parcel of how we should be moving the country forwards to a more mature political landscape, so that we can disagree on things that we feel are important points of disagreement on things like corruption and lack of transparency and very poorly thought out public policies. But at the same time, we can also have agreement on certain areas which I think everyone think would be good for the country moving forward, such as the anti-hopping law and also other things that I've discussed with some of the ministers from the other side. I think so one of a couple of blind spots that I think I can identify straight away is that people who approach public policy from a political standpoint, they see things very black and white. You're either for this or against this. So if let's say the government takes the position that they are advocating for one position, as an opposition member, you feel as if you have to take the opposite position. Just because you feel you have to oppose the government policy. I think what I've found in my position as an MP, from in both sides, of the divide, as government as well as an opposition, is that the world is much more complex. You cannot think of this thing as being something that you should be for or against. There are many nuances. There may be aspects of this policy that you agree with. There may be others that you don't. These policies may take a little bit more time for it to be implemented well. Sometimes we have to criticize the implementation. We may not criticize or disagree with the entire policy. Right. So I think these kinds of nuances is something that many politicians miss out, and as a result, the larger electorate also, they feel they have to take a side for and against. And if let's say this kind of thinking filters down to the civil servants, filters down to other people who contribute to the public policy making process, such as think tanks and academics, then I think the world will be a much more divisive place, and it will be one where public policy is made on the basis of gut reaction and also partisanship, rather than looking at the issues to see how they would be able to benefit the larger population in various ways and facets.